Okay, I reckon we're going to roll on in. We got another few bloody great speakers. In fact, your first one for this half, what a delight that they get up and do their very own talk here at Nerd Night. So please, you already know her. I'm going to say her name and then you're going to go absolutely nuts, but welcome to the stage, Nicole.
Thank you, Snap. So, fried chicken. Everyone who talked to me about this topic said, oh, I love fried chicken. So who's in that boat? Raise your hand if you love fried chicken. Are there any fried chicken haters or like vegetarians who hate even the cauliflower? Oh, there's a couple. Okay. Well, almost everybody here and a lot of Kiwis seem to worship fried chicken. And they think it belongs in every single cuisine, which is why we're having this talk tonight, to just go over some history and learn a little bit more about fried chicken. Let's start with the way you fry stuff. Does that sound like a good place to start? So you can pan fry something. How exciting, right? So you can get like schnitzel or like just a flat, plain, boring chicken breast and put it in a pan. Pan frying, good. Deep frying, that's a bit more exciting now, isn't it? You just put the hot food in oil. ChatGPT gave me the joke, like a hot oil jacuzzi for poultry. Lovely, really good. And before you put it in the deep fryer, you could batter fry it and put it in, some wet mixture like fish and chips. And turns out chips are called naked deep fried because they don't have anything on them. Fun fact for the day. And flour dredging is another thing you can do. You roll around the chicken or whatever you're doing in some flour, maybe after you marinate it, and then it creates a thick, craggy crust full of flavor, and then you pan fry it or deep fry it. Really important things to know. Air frying. Who owns an air fryer? Yeah, it's the thing nowadays, isn't it? Everyone's talking about the air fryers. And basically what happens is hot air circulates around the food at high speeds and makes your food brown. So, cool, nice. Another thing is tempura. So this is also batter fried, but it's much lighter. And so the AI comment for this, as if a food went into the spa and came out wearing a crunchy golden kimono. Yeah. So speaking of tempura, where's tempura originate from? Where's that technique from? Yell it out. I didn't hear it. No, Japan? No. Portugal. So Japan, yes, the technique is called tempura, and that's in Japan. But what happened was there's these little things called peixinhos da horta, maybe pronouncing it right, little fish from the garden. So they're deep-fried green beans. And during Lent, you can't eat meat if you're following that strictly. So the is that what they were called? Let's go back here. The Portuguese missionaries were eating vegetarian, and they were eating these little fish from the garden, and they're deep fried, and they went and traveled around. The Portuguese actually went on boats and went everywhere. It's amazing all the places they went. And they went to Japan and they traded there. And when you're in Lent, they called it ad tempora quadragesime. And tempura sounds a lot like tempura, doesn't it? Yeah. So, good reactions, everyone. Come on, let's build up the energy here. So that was in the 1500s, and now the Japanese have that tempura frying technique that's different from other places, and they do fried chicken called karage, which is small pieces of chicken, and they marinate it in soy, sake, garlic, and ginger, and coat it in potato starch and fry crisp it. So that's yummy fried chicken. Maybe not the one you were thinking of, but there's actually so many types of fried chicken when you actually look into it. There's a Wikipedia page for it. 54 different types of fried chicken. That's pretty impressive. So we'll sample a few of them. We don't have time for the full buffet, but we'll get to a few. The first is ayam goreng, which is common in Indonesia and Malaysia. and it's marinated in turmeric, coriander, lemongrass. It's not breaded, and then it's fried in oil. Chicken 65 is kind of fun, nice color. They marinate it in yogurt and then spices like chili and turmeric, and that they lightly coat in cornstarch and flour and then fry. Or there's chicken Kiev, which has garlic herb butter in the middle, and then it's wrapped around with that and fried and baked. There's West African fried chicken, which is bold spices and marinades, and it's cooked in palm oil. And then there's just all sorts of types of crispy fried chicken. So there's no like breading or coating on these. They just get the skin nice and crispy. But let's be honest, when I say fried chicken, you were probably thinking about this one, weren't you? Yes. Southern fried chicken. And so let's talk about where that comes from. It's the most widely accepted theory is that it's from the Scots. And they really like to bread things and then chuck it in some lard. And so they just went and did that with chicken. But they were afraid of spices, so it was just bland-ish. But it was flavorful because of the lard and everything, you know? So that was first documented in 1747 in this cookbook, The Art of Cookery, made plain and easy, by an English woman, but she just gathered all the recipes from around Britain. And so that was the first, like, fried chicken as we know it documented. But the West African traditions came in and needed to add some pizzazz to make this fried chicken, like, a little better. They weren't afraid of spices. They added a lot of spices to their chickens. But they usually did it without flour, as I said before. So then it went to the American South, and that's where we get the combination of the West African spices with this Scottish technique. And so now you finally have, like, look at good colors, lots of spices there. Isn't that nice? And then you bread it, and you fry it, and yum, yum. And it thrived in African American communities partially because the enslaved people were allowed to raise their own chickens. And so this was kind of a comfort food and a sign of independence. And fried chicken, we think with our refrigerators, our milk cupboards, we think that we can just use food and chuck it in the fridge and it's fine. But back in the day when there weren't milk cupboards or ice containers, whatever it was that they called them, ice cupboard, I don't know. You needed to preserve food, so frying the chicken could preserve it for longer than just leaving it out. And the first American fried chicken recipe comes from the Virginia housewife in 1824 by Mary Randolph, who, let's face it, came from a plantation-owning family. So maybe, yeah, that's where she got it from. Anyway, Southern fried chicken, that's what we like and love, right? But other cultures have adapted this. So the Taiwanese have popcorn chicken. Nashville hot chicken is taking Southern chicken and making it spicier. And then Korean fried chicken is really upping the game. And they started on this idea of fried chicken in the 1950s after the Korean War because American soldiers were there for Thanksgiving and they're like, we want our turkey. And you don't have turkey, so we're gonna make fried chicken. And the Koreans are like, oh, this is really yummy. Maybe we should do this too. But they innovated because you can't just take from other people. You need to like make it your own, right? So they thinned up the coating and they double fry it to make it extra crispy. And then they also add a nice spicy, sticky, garlicky glaze on the top. So Korean fried chicken's pretty good. There's a place just down the road that serves nice Korean fried chicken. You can go after to get your fix. And in Korea, there are so many Korean fried chicken restaurants. There was 87,000 in the 2000s, which is more than double the number of McDonald's worldwide. It's that prolific. So they love their fried chicken probably more than us here in New Zealand. And yeah, the world really does love fried chicken. Like, it's a global thing. And so everybody does some kind of fried chicken, like we talked about at the beginning, but the southern fried chicken, that's a style that really has traveled around from like Ghana to Russia to Indonesia, and just all sorts of places and all sorts of cultures are cooking that style of chicken. But that doesn't mean that it's a staple of every single one of those cuisines. Like, if you go to a restaurant, you might not see it on the menu, even though sometimes they do it in that country. So this is really why I'm doing this talk. I was here walking around the streets of Christchurch, looked at a Mexican restaurant menu, and saw authentic Mexican fried chicken. I thought, what? I grew up in Colorado, I lived in California, there's lots of Mexicans there, there's lots of Mexican restaurants. I have never seen fried chicken on a Mexican restaurant menu. So I think that New Zealand's upping the game with how many restaurants have fried chicken here. I mean, honestly, you go to anything of any culture and there's always fried chicken and chips. And that's not a cultural thing around the world. That really is a New Zealand thing, I promise you. And let's just talk about how obsessed New Zealanders are with fried chicken. We're going to start with Popeyes. So 2023, the first Popeyes opened up in Auckland, and people queued for hours. Some people camped out overnight. It was like a Taylor Swift concert for greasy chicken. And then, according to Uber Eats, Aucklanders in 1 year ordered more fried chicken than burgers and sushi combined, which is pretty wild to think about, because burgers seem like they'd be really high up there. Another one that I'd heard about before, I don't know if anyone else did, was Operation Sanders. So there was a Kiwi bloke in the South Island in the 2020 lockdown who said, okay, we're going into level 4. I won't have takeout for who knows how long. So I'm going to go to KFC and I'm going to freeze buckets of chicken for myself when I get in need. And so he said it was the best meal of lockdown, when he's eating his takeout meal and everybody else in New Zealand can't have takeout. But the best one probably is during Auckland's level 4 lockdown, and then the rest of the country wasn't locked down, there was some men who were arrested with 3 buckets of KFC, 10 containers of coleslaw, and a whole bag of fries. And they were trying to go from Hamilton to Auckland. And they were also carrying a casual $100,000 in cash. So there's theories that maybe the chicken was a cover-up. But either way, the chicken couldn't cross the road. Oh, the moans. That was good. Okay. So KFC. Who likes KFC? A couple. I've never eaten it in this country, actually, but there's 980 restaurants of KFC. This is an old graphic, but basically there's KFCs everywhere. And so it's kind of like the ultimate chicken colonizer is Colonel Sanders. And in Japan, there's even a tradition of Christmas, the December 24th, you queue up with your family for hours, and you get KFC. Why? I don't know. But it's a big thing there. So, yeah, KFC, chicken everywhere. And why do we love it so much? We have to do something nerdy here, not just history. So we're going to talk about the Maillard reaction, which is when protein and sugar are exposed to heat. They get color and flavor and aroma. It's how baked bread works, chicken, like frying things in general. That browning has all sorts of interesting, deep, complex flavor compounds that interact with our brain and basically give us a dopamine hit. And it's also like a biological driver. And so even if you're super full, you smell fried chicken, you're like, oh, I want some fried chicken. Because your body's like, give me grease. I need it. So there you go, the science behind why you have an addiction to fried chicken right there. And at the end of the day, we can give thanks to the Scots for the frying, the Africans for the seasonings, and the Koreans for the crunch, and then the Kiwis for making sure it's literally in every restaurant in the city. Thank you.